Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Black LinkedIn's Juneteenth Digital Kickback, the
Yeah.
Pride Edition. We're so happy to have you all. Thank you so much for attending. We hope that you brought your own plate because I would have hated if you had to dream and kind of smell about mines, okay? But we are glad to have our LinkedIn cousins here. I am your host, Patricia S. Gatlin, the curator behind Black LinkedIn, or BLKLIN as we're formally known as today. We are amplifying Black, Brown, and culture professionals on and off this platform. So, anyways, I hope that one day we can all come together and do a real cookout. But until then, I would like to take some time to allow our other LinkedIn cousin to introduce themselves before we get into what I like to call a good old Kiki. So, hey, Ramirez, how are you? And please,
Hi.
please, please feel free to introduce yourself to your LinkedIn cousins. We're so happy to have you here today.
Okay, cool. Hi, y'all. How you guys doing? I hope everyone enjoys live. And again, thank you, Patricia and Black LinkedIn, for, giving me the opportunity to promote myself and my brand and be a part of the Black LinkedIn family and officially be a cousin. My name is Ramirez Brown. I am 27 years old. The founder and CEO of Our Brown Advocacy, a company I started last year in 2025. October to be exact. So we're a little fresh, baby. We're a little baby growing right now, but we're gonna be a big boy and a big, big people soon. But yeah, I started it at a passion for my fashion, and then once I was, diagnosed with HIV, I wanted to figure out a outlet for myself. So through working in sexual health over the last 5 or 6 years, starting as an intern and things of that, I now use all my expertise and all of my lived experience and all of the people that I've known in the industry to collaborate on a larger scale to basically bring an end to the epidemic and bring sexual awareness and sexual health awareness and education to Black folks, specifically our young LGBTQ Black folks and families around, because anyone who knows you can't do nothing without your parents as a young Black person. So that's the point of our brown advocacy, to figure out how to bridge the gap between sexual health organizations, doctors who are doing sexual health work, and families who are needing support and need help to navigate what it means to be sex positive or just protect yourself. So yeah, it's a little about me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction and everything that you're doing. We really appreciate having you here on the stage and hopefully educating our extended community as we kind of dig into our upcoming topic. But before we do that, I want to let everybody know in the comment section, thank you so much for coming out and watching this live with us. Please feel free to drop Team Live in the chat or drop Team Replay. But while you're doing that, please let us know as well, where are you chiming in from? Where's your city? Where's your country? You know, it's FIFA going on right now. I got my FIFA on, but a lot of pride as well, my pride colors too. So please feel free, if you are tuning in, go ahead and drop and let us know where you're tuning in from. We're so happy to have you.
Yes,
So with
yes.
that being said, yes, happy Pride as well. Like I said, this is our first Pride actual event through Black LinkedIn. So very excited. And behind the scenes, we have a new team member by the name of Kennedy Wellington. She is our production specialist. So big shout out to her. So all these cool new ads and features and maybe even a couple of new things that are going on is a team effort between me and Kennedy. So shout out to her. We're so glad to have her behind the scenes.
Yes. Yes,
All
absolutely.
righty. So moving right along as we allow you all to engage with the content and comment, I want to go to our first question. You answered a little bit about it, but we want to dive a little bit deeper into that. So for those of us that are meeting you for the first time, how would you describe your advocacy work and kind of what led you into this space? I know you dabbled on it a little bit more, but if you could go in a little bit more depth about like maybe sexual health, I know you have a gala, and then I know you have, worked as a trusted adult guide and things for the LGBTQ youth and their families and all that. But if you could just give us a little bit more, we greatly appreciate it.
Yeah. Again, yeah. Long story short, I during it have a lot happened during COVID. It was COVID, and the quarantine, things like that. And then my grandmother ended up passing away a few months prior to that, and then I was diagnosed with HIV. So all of this was happening in 6 months of each other, and I just needed the outlet, and I was angry with everything that was happening, and then life was still lifing outside of my immediate problems, and all of the bills and things. So I had a case manager at the time, and he was introducing me to sexual health and all these different organizations. And for a long time I was basically putting it off, like I didn't want to do it even though I needed to do something. But he led me to an organization called East Beginning to Zero, and that was my first intro into sexual health and learning about the different avenues and people take. And through that, I was able to be a part of different organizations like NMAC as a student organizer and Advocates for Youth as a student organizer. And now I'm officially on their board of directors and things like that. So just using my career as a way to heal myself and heal what happened to me 6 years ago. And as I've been in sexual health, hearing that there's a lot of black gay men, whether younger than me, older than me, the same age as me, who have experienced the same thing, and I knew I wanted to be a part of that change. Our Brown advocacy came from a point of feeling like I was stuck in a rut working for people. I was trying to amplify the voices of young Black folks. Again, trying to heal myself and understanding that we're missing a large scope of parents, and we're missing a large scope of family unit. And I feel like that's the biggest disconnect for sexual health and education or mental health as a whole. We focus on the individual and not the aspect of family as a whole. Um, Especially as it pertains to Black LGBTQ youth. Again, we're Black people. I can only speak for our culture. We can't do
Right.
anything without our parents being involved. If we get mail to the house, they're checking it if we're under the age of 18. So there's a lot
Very
of
black, very black.
yeah. So there's a lot of things that we can't do, and our Brown
Right.
advocacy was that. I feel an answer to that, to put a name to a face of what is sexual health doing, and bringing families into the forefront of it all, to where it's not um, the point of it all, like just going into my Smekshi Gala, the point of my Smekshi Gala is for youth to come dress up as their, Smekshi icon, because we, again, Black folk, young folks can't use the word sexy. So it stands for
Right.
smart, mature, extra, and youthful. And the youth are
Love
able
that.
to, thank you, they're able to dress up, get free food, free drinks, listen to good music. There's a fashion show that they can participate in, and the audience gets to be a part of it and things like that. And there's a grand prize, and then also there is sexual health resources being distributed. So there, the sexual health section is kind of not in the corner but in the background per se, where it's like where you
Hmm.
can have fun. Oh, and by the way, there's an extra component where families are able to learn about what's going on. Parents act as chaperones to serve out food, to act as security, just so they can be intermingled in everything that's happening. And
Right.
then the same thing with my Trusted Adult Guide. The Trusted Adult Guide, that's solely sexual health based, but again, it
Hmm.
still has the avenue of what it means to include families. So there's a lot of different sections for families to be involved, whether that's family events, family orientated organizations, and things like that. And then also, I do workshops where I teach fashion through the lens of advocacy. So we talk
Yeah,
about.
I was gonna ask you about that. Yeah, that was gonna be my next question, but I know didn't mean to cut you off. But
You're good.
absolutely love everything that you're doing. I love that how it integrates with pieces of your own life and that propelling you forward. I do send my greatest sympathies in regards to your grandmother. But as you talk about the family unit, and we know in the Black community that grandmothers are such an intricate part of every detail
Hmm.
of our lives, and to build this in some way out of legacy from most likely that connection that you had with her is such a
Hmm.
wonderful thing. And to add my own 2 cents, I think it is so important, like you said, for Black and brown families to get the education as early as possible so that they can support these LGBTQ, youth as they go through that. Because as we know, there's a systematic oppression with it, even to a certain extent, like you said about sexual health, but also with families kicking out the youth,
Hmm.
right? And them, if you could talk, maybe want to talk about mothers in the LGBT community and how that kind of came about and played into it. and what
Mhm.
that family dynamic looks like when you have a chosen family outside of your also given family. That would be wonderful, and to talk about how fashion kind of comes into that as well. Would I would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Family's huge for me. It starts. I was raised by a single mom, so it's always just been me and her doing the thing. It started off with her carrying me, and now we're back to back fighting the world. And that's what Our Brown Advocacy represents. It's a way for to utilize the spirit of my grandmother and highlight who she was. Our Brown Advocacy is very in your face, very to the point, very open, very strong in the sense of you don't have to support. Honestly, you don't have to like. You don't even have to understand. But respect is the utmost thing where you
Respect,
have
bare
no,
minimum.
yeah, it's not even the bare minimum. It's the you have no choice but to see me as a human. You have no
Right.
choice but to understand that we both bleed red, we both pee yellow, we
Mhm.
both boo boo brown. We both end
Right.
up the same way and we both going and die the same way. You know what
The
I'm
same
saying?
way. Yeah.
So it's like our brown advocacy represents the fold of what does it mean just to support specifically Black LGBTQ because we were kicked out in the 80s and 90s and reminiscing on that. And that was the reason for ballroom and things like that for
Hmm.
Black and brown folk to come together and still have a space where they can feel whole and feel supported and things like that. And I want our brown advocacy to be an intricate part of that to where people know whether because I'm in the midst of building a clothing line and things like that whether it's you're in
Hmm.
the sexual health side of it all or in my fashion and you're buying the clothes, all of it represents that you are supporting and you are establishing that this is a organization and a place where you feel safe and that you feel that you can come here to gain resources and gain networking and things like that. And with the my workshops and my events and everything that I do it as a way of how can we get grandmothers and aunties and uncles, big cousins, best friends around because a lot of people don't have the opportunity or the structure to do these things. A lot of these things are taken away, or you just don't have the fortitude because your family
Hmm.
is very conservative or very, they're
Right.
in the olden ways. So whether you have your chosen family who can, get you in here, or whether it's your blood family who can get you in
Hmm.
here, the goal is for you to, again, to find a place where you can feel seen, find a place where you can
Right.
feel represented and love. And that's all I want our brown advocacy to be a part of, is to be a part of change and making a larger picture for everyone around. Again, whether you an individual, you're coming with your chosen family, you're coming with blood family, it's about
Hmm.
community. And that's what I
And
try to.
everybody's welcome.
Yes.
I love that. So, with that being said, the topic for today, as you all know, is Juneteenth. Juneteenth is about freedom, and I realized as we were getting ready to create this series, and I randomly reached out to Ramirez. I saw a post of his on social media, and I thought this is a wonderful person doing amazing things. That I would love to have them come on and talk about what they're doing and how they're impacting it, and also the importance of that freedom isn't universal, right?
Mhm,
That some of us may still not feel free or
mhm,
somewhat still be in bondage in certain areas and aspects of our lives. And I think the fact that the Our Brown Agency is providing a sense of freedom, on top of other amazing things, including love and pride and all of those things, it
mhm,
really played into this narrative that I wanted to talk about today. So, with that being said, as we transition to our next question, as we talk about you as a professional and as a black man and as a black man living with HIV, I want to know what is like the one act of allyship that made a real difference in your life?
honestly, it's word of mouth. A lot of what I've been able to do and been able to experience is someone telling me something, and once I'm in there, someone else telling me something. So I started off when I was an intern. My internship led me to finding out about NMAC and all of those things. So I was able to go to Puerto Rico and go to Chicago, and essentially that was my first time being out of California. And through NMAC, I had a peer of mine tell me about Advocates for Youth, and with Advocates for Youth, I was a part of that, and I was able to go to the White House and see the Supreme Court and things like that. And through NMAC, someone led me, a mentor led me to a new organization called NISM, and NISM does amazing work with Black LGBTQ folk and the trans community. And T.S. Madison has their, she facilitates her home and her
Yes,
organization NISM and things
they're in
like that.
Atlanta.
Yeah, so that's what I feel, if anything has been my saving grace or the biggest show of allyship. It's just, hey, have you tried, or hey, have you looked into this? And again, for Black people, that goes all the way back to, you know us telling
Hmm.
us stories about, oral traditions in the motherland and things like that, and word
Right.
of mouth, making sure that we can um pass on traditions and pass on
Hmm.
lineage and pass on success to one another. So yeah, if anything, I would say is just word of mouth, and having people who are like, "Hey, I think you would be good for this, or you should do this," or "Hey, I think this is something that you can add to, so you should do this." And me doing that the same way. Anytime I have any organizations or anything that they got going on that I can pass it on
Right.
to anyone, then that's what I'm trying to do. Whether it's young,
I
old,
love that.
organization to organization, we need to be a part of this. How can we collaborate?
Hmm.
That's my whole thing. Community again,
I love
going back.
that, and I think it's good for Black men to see the proactiveness about just putting yourself out there, being involved. You never know where it can take you. You never know what resources you can give or get out of that situation and make that kind of cyclical, right? And in motion, but also inspire and encourage others. And I hope that when people, if there are any young people on this live or happen to watch this live later, that they feel connected to your story and empowered to reach out, empowered to get a part, to take action to be a part of these groups and know that there are safe spaces that are being created by people who look like them, who are out there in today's workforce. So, with that being said, as we transition on, what are some challenges do you think that LGBTQ or queer professionals still face often and that go unnoticed within in the workplace and maybe even workplace conversations?
A lot of it is microaggressions, I feel, especially as a Black person. We have to deal with the subtle hints of, it's not technically racism, but you know exactly what they're hinting at. You have to deal with um the politics of office, and sometimes it can be a little catty and a little messy and things like that. And as a Black person and a LGBTQ person at the same time, you have to deal with that. And people feeling like you're a monologue, so sometimes they'll do the extra outness and things like that, and you're trying to be like, okay, I know that's not how you act, you're doing it around me. It's
Right.
a lot of passive aggressiveness that you have to deal with as a Black LGBTQ person, specifically for me, I think. And then also, it's the not trying to be funny. It's also because I look the way I look, and I feel very attractive. That a lot
Hmm.
of times that is misconstrued in two ways. That people think I'm ditzy, and I use my
Mm.
face to get everywhere. And when people realize that I am smart and articulate, that now they're intimidated by it, and now it's um, they got to get me, or now there's some type of immediate
Mm.
competition and things like that. And I was raised, if you believe there's a competition, you already lost. And the only person I'm competing against is myself. So I'm trying to be better than I was yesterday, better than I was last year.
Right.
And
Could I add something to that?
go ahead.
As a DEI specialist myself, and I don't want to put like a name, a thing to a thing, but we say pet to threat. But in
Mhm.
this situation, it sounds like a purse pet, and you know what
Yeah.
purses are. We know what purse pet threat type of
Hmm.
transition in the gay community, and so it comes off to say, hey, we're looking at our brethren, right? And thinking, oh, they probably don't go through this pet to threat type of situation when it comes to their sexuality or anything like that. But I can assume that it is very painful when,
Hmm.
oh, I want to be friends with you because your sexuality and I feel comfortable with you, right? You become that again purse or that pet.
Hmm.
Oh, this
Yeah.
is my friend so and so because of X, Y, and Z. Is that in alignment a little bit with some of your experiences, or am I just going off the rail and
No,
I'm over
absolutely.
analyzing as a
No,
DI?
no, absolutely. Both in personal and in professional, you have
Mm-hmm.
specifically, I want to not trying to, specifically women who try to,
Mm-hmm.
use you as the gay best friend or the gay coworker and things like that, or they're so open and things. And it's like, although I am gay and black and I live,
Like I'm not homosexual because I have a gay friend, right?
yeah,
Like, you know
I'm not
what I mean?
homophobic because, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh
like
yeah.
I be trying to make it very clear that I am not someone's sidekick. I'm not someone's, just
Mm-hmm.
friend. I just like how you're a leader, I'm a leader. And a lot of that can be then it's misconstrued as, oh, now you think you're this, that, and so forth. And it's like, well, I do. Now what? I'm all
What's it
I'm
gonna do now?
it's like I'm all of the things that you saying that I am. I'm all that. I'll be mean. I'll be the
Mm-hmm.
bitch. I'll be the sassy. I'll be the whatever you need me to be. Whatever villain that you saying I am, I'll take that and I'll wear that. Because at the end of the day, you wouldn't be getting that if it wasn't for how you're treating me. Because anyone who's met
Exactly.
me in a way of I'm treating you as my equal, a respect, regardless of who you are and what you look like, then you're not getting that energy. It's I feel only time I'm not surrounded in positive energy is when I'm not surrounded by leadership or leaders in general. And that's when it gets a little bit shaky. When people don't feel or they're putting on a facade,
Mm-hmm.
that's when things get a bit shaky.
I love that. Thank you so much, because that even had rolled on over into my next question as well about what gives you hope, and what do you kind of look forward to in the next generation of like LGBTQ professionals that want to be leaders and exuding the kind of existence that you have and the presence that you have. Do you have any thoughts about that? Any hope in regards to what
Oh,
you look for in the
absolutely. That's
next gen?
that's all like that's how what our brown advocacy is focused on because my generation and those before that didn't have the openness and the luxury of being black and gay, black and focus on mental health,
Yes.
black and less, so now especially with these young folks, again, I work with advocates for youth, and there's Hispanic young folks and my black young folks, and there's the Asian community, and some white folks and things like that, where you can see these babies who are literally under the age of 25, 24, even though I'm only
Mhm.
27, so can't be called the babies. But
Well,
you
I am
see
not.
you see these young folks really a part of the organization and doing things that I only could have dreamed of because they started at 16, 17. So they know all of
Mhm.
the issues that are happening because they've been a part of it for the last 6 years and things like that. And I'm actually launching a coalition or initiative with Advocates for Youth because of some of these young folks where there's this one
Okay.
young girl who is getting her master's and her doctorate at the same time in
Mhm.
clinical research and clinical work and things like that. So it's just to see that aspiration and that drive in the South and in the East Coast. I want to bring that to the West Coast where I'm from LA, and now I'm in the Bay Area. I have
Mhm.
family in France and Arizona and all the things. So it's inspirational to see that despite everything and them not even knowing the epidemic and them not even being a part of, they were alive when medicine and things was, around and,
Right.
the luxury of, or the experience, not luxury, the experience of seeing people, die, stay alive, the medicine and all
Mhm.
the trials and things, but to still see them have that fight of, it's not going to be us. We're not going to go backwards. We understand
Right.
where we came from and what we're doing. And I was one of those, so I want to make sure that I can continue to propel that forward when I am in my 30s and 40s. Continue to use our brown advocacy and all my connections as a way to prepare youth and young folk forward.
Thank you so much for that. I absolutely love everything that you said. I think that it is so important to have people like you in the youth's life, and to know that you exist, and the presence that you exude out in this community, and to see you as a professional and as a leader and as a black man. Okay.
Yes.
I'm extremely excited about what you're doing, and I hope that hashtag Black LinkedIn can continue to stay involved,
Yes.
and learn more, right? As we all grow, because no matter if you're part of the LGBTQ plus queer community, or if you're not and you're just a part of the Black and Brown community, that would be my next question: is what role do Black and Brown communities play in advancing the LGBTQ plus equity? And kind of like, what do you see the opportunities for a stronger collaboration? I know that we're sitting here right now as a great example of this, but if you could divulge a little bit more of what you anticipate to see in the future, that would be wonderful. And then after that, hopefully we're going to round this conversation out, and take it back home.
Absolutely. To keep it short, concise, and sweet. Understanding that first, Black and Brown people are LGBTQ. There is no separation in our communities. That's the whole point of intersectionality, and understanding that I am both Black and LGBTQ at the same time. My Blackness doesn't come before my gayness, and my gayness still don't become before my Blackness.
Yes.
I am one and the same. If I wasn't Black and I was just a LGBTQ person of a different ethnicity, my life would be different. If I wasn't gay and I was just a straight Black person, my life would be totally different. So both of those identities make up who I am, or a part of who I am, and how we can make sure that those who are not LGBTQ in the Black and Brown community can be more inclusive and can be more uplifting for us, is just to again understand that we are all human, and just because what I like is who I like and how I like it doesn't separate who we are, because you like certain things your certain way, and that doesn't always,
Mm-hmm.
whether you want to use the Bible as an excuse of why you are who you are, you don't always fall in line with what the Bible or what scripture and all of those things say. So with that being said, it's giving us grace to know that we have been through just as much as Black and Brown people, as just as straight people, on top of the fact
Mm-hmm.
that now we gotta fight with our fellow people who look just like me, simply because you think I'm an abomination, or you think I deserve to die, or you think that I don't belong. um and it's not fair, it's unacceptable, and it lacks, again, going back to the respect aspect of it all, making sure that we can respect one another and uplift each other. And at the end of the day, you don't have to like, support, or even understand, but just realizing that we are still people, we are still humans first. That will be the best way, and then from that we can have conversations, we can have workshops, we can have kickbacks, we can have cookouts,
Mm-hmm.
all of the things. But
Right.
let's start at understanding that we are equals, we are human. You do, I do, we do, and if we don't do, who gonna do it?
Right. And let's do it all together. And let's
Mhm.
remember you can have all those things in advocacy and love and respect for one another. I appreciate you, Ramirez, for coming on here and showing us your multifaceted. So,
Thank you.
multi hyphenate as well. I appreciate you and all that you're doing. This is a wonderful conversation. And so, with that being said, we really want to encourage you to take the time to get out there and check out what our brown advocacy is doing,
Please.
and what they have going in the future. Please let them know where to find you on social media platforms.
Yes,
We
please.
greatly appreciate it.
Yes, you can find me on both Instagram and Twitter, on rbrown underscore advocacy. I do podcasts, so I would love to introduce anyone who's in the fashion or sexual health realm, mental illness, mental awareness, mental health awareness. Sorry, let me make sure I clarify that. Whether you're doing body positive care and all of the things, hormones, that's where you can find me. I have my website that Patricia is showing, that shows a little bit of insight of what I've done so far, little projects I've done in fashion, and then again my fashion line will be coming out next fall. I have a few projects coming on, in fashion, so definitely be on the lookout on that. And then I also have my LinkedIn, which is Ramirez Brown, and my YouTube, R Brown Advocacy. All of that is on my homepage, and you can find me. On social media. Again, R Brown underscore advocacy on Twitter or Instagram. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. We're so happy that you were able to join us today. And everybody else in the chat and the comments who have been keeping that going, we thoroughly appreciate all of your support over here at hashtag Black LinkedIn. As you know, we have a couple of new things that will be rolling out soon, but we hope to keep building on, these types of podcasts and interviews with our LinkedIn cousins. The goal is to make sure that you're introduced to the people who are out there with their feet on the ground doing the work, right? So make sure that you connect with him on LinkedIn and all the places that they exist on social media. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We're super hyped to, again, have you learn about hashtag Black LinkedIn. And we'll be listing some great resources as well in the chat. We hope that Ramirez will come back and drop his information. And shout out to, again, Kennedy and our whole entire team that we're developing and growing. If you would like to join our team at hashtag Black LinkedIn, please feel free to head over our partnership page, our volunteer section. We have great opportunities and we'd be happy to have you. So again, thank you everybody. And check out our blogs. We have some really great blogs. Our editors are over there writing some stories that you want to hear about that don't get talked about and amplified every single day. So head over to our blog as well and support our editor and guest writers. We greatly appreciate it. And we hope that you all have a wonderful Pride, the rest of your Pride month here in June. And Juneteenth was a wonderful experience for you all. Again, Thank you so much, Ramirez. So happy to have you. And we'll talk to you all again on the next live. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. Have a great one.